Nobody, and we mean nobody, saw this coming. Not after all the years of loyalty, not after all the public declarations of ride or die love, not after all the quiet sacrifices that kept their names in the spotlight and their bond seemingly untouchable. But now, everything's flipped upside down. Chrissy Lampkin, the longtime partner of Jim Jones and a staple in reality TV royalty, is at the center of a scandal so massive it's left fans stunned, insiders scrambling, and Jim Jones completely blindsided. According to explosive insider reports, Chrissy has been caught in a scheme that allegedly involved the theft of $7 million. Yes, $7 million, from accounts connected to Jim's business ventures. The betrayal isn't just financial, it's deeply personal. And the fallout? It's already nuclear. Sources close to the family say the moment Jim Jones found out, he snapped in disbelief, pacing the floors of their New Jersey home before storming out with no explanation. Emotions ran high. Friends turned enemies. And now, Jim Jones has broken his silence. And what he's saying has people absolutely shook. The questions are flying fast. Why would Chrissy do this? Was she working alone? Is there more money missing? And what happens to their future now that the trust is gone? Get ready, because this isn't just another messy breakup story. This is a full-blown empire collapse. And we're breaking it all down from the very first red flag to the latest bombshell reveal. Buckle up. It's about to get real. It all started with a bank notification, a simple ping on Jim Jones's phone that didn't make sense. It was a Sunday morning, and Jim had just gotten back from a studio session when the alert caught his attention. It wasn't the amount that alarmed him. Jim moves money all the time. It was the destination, an unfamiliar account, the kind that doesn't just show up by accident. He stared at the screen for a moment, thinking maybe he misread it. But the digits were clear. 7 figures had been moved. And the name on the receiving end? Not a company, not a brand. It was personal and painfully familiar. Chrissy Lampkin. At first, he thought there had to be an explanation, a shared investment, maybe something she forgot to mention. He didn't want to jump to conclusions. After all, they had history, decades of loyalty, love, sacrifices. Chrissy had stood by him through thick and thin, through jail rumors, career struggles, label drama, even the public embarrassments that aired, for millions to see on national television. She was the definition of ride or die. But this wasn't love. This felt like betrayal. Jim tried calling her. No answer. He texted. No reply. Within an hour, he was pacing the kitchen, still staring at the transaction on his phone. He didn't want to believe it. Not Chrissy, not after everything. He called his financial advisor. Tell me this is a mistake. But the advisor's voice was calm, even cold. Jim, we flagged that transfer last night. I was going to reach out today. There's more. More? It wasn't just one transaction, the advisor said. Over the last 9 months, we've tracked multiple transfers, all disguised as business expenses. But when we traced them, they all landed in accounts connected to Chrissy. Jim's world stopped. How much? Just over $7 million. He dropped the phone. According to sources close to the situation, that's when everything broke. Jim didn't just walk out of the house, he stormed out. No shoes, no keys, just raw fury and disbelief. He walked the streets for hours, calling people he trusted, trying to make sense of what felt like a nightmare. Meanwhile, Chrissy was nowhere to be found. She had flown to Miami 2 days earlier, supposedly for a brand collab and a luxury women's conference. But now, with the news out and the money traced, the question wasn't what she was doing in Miami. It was whether she was ever planning to come back. The internet, of course, caught on fast the moment a financial leak surfaced. Online showing the name Lampkin tied to suspicious withdrawals, blogs went wild. Within minutes, Chrissy stole $7 million started trending. Fans were torn. Some defended her, saying there had to be a deeper reason. Others weren't so kind. They dragged up old clips from Love and Hip Hop, scenes where Chrissy argued with Jim about money, control, and being tired of waiting for a ring. Maybe she waited too long, one user tweeted, and decided to get the bag herself. Another said, Chrissy been moving like a boss, but maybe she was just moving money behind the scenes. As theories exploded online, insiders started coming forward with whispers. A former assistant who worked briefly with Jim and Chrissy said she noticed things months ago. She was always the one handling the bookings, the invoices, the wire transfers, she claimed. It looked normal. But now, looking back, I think she was planning this for a while. Back in New York, Jim Jones wasn't staying quiet. He took to Instagram Live that night, face unshaven, eyes red, no filters, no flashy chains, just raw, unfiltered emotion. "This ain't no clout move," he began, voice low. "I don't even want to be on here like this." But when you build your life with somebody, when you trust somebody to hold your heart and your paper, and they flip on you like this, it's different. He didn't mention Chrissy by name, but he didn't have to. "I feel played," he said. "Not even about the bread. It's the principle, the silence, the sneakiness. How you do somebody like that and not say a word?" The comments flooded in. Fans cried. Some cursed Chrissy out. Others begged Jim to hear her side. But Jim wasn't hearing anything. By the next morning, his team had already reached out to lawyers, not just for answers, but for action. According to leaked reports, Jim was considering pressing charges. And if that happened, it wouldn't just be a scandal. It would be a war, because this wasn't just money. This was family. Friends close to Chrissy started trying to defend her. One, who remained anonymous, told a blog that Chrissy was scared and never meant to hurt Jim. She's saying she had her reasons, the friend shared, that she didn't steal it. She took what she felt was owed. Owed? When that word hit the internet, the temperature exploded. Owed for what? For what? That one word reignited old wounds. Fans started rewatching love and hip-hop clips from over a decade ago, pulling quotes where Chrissy spoke about building Jim up, being his rock, being the one who stood behind the curtains while he shined on stage. "I gave that man everything," she once said. "I didn't get a ring. I didn't get a baby. I didn't even get security." Now fans wondered, was this Chrissy's twisted way of getting what she thought she deserved? The situation grew more tangled when reports surfaced of a luxury condo in Miami that had been paid off in full. Cash. And the name on the paperwork? Chrissy Lampkin? Not Chrissy. Not the brand. Just the name. Plain and direct. Real estate insiders confirmed the purchase happened just weeks before the financial leaks went public. And the price tag? $3.2 million. Now Jim knew where part of that money had gone. His reaction? "You can keep the condo." He reportedly told a friend, "Just give me back my peace." But peace was the last thing on the horizon. Because while Jim was dealing with betrayal and heartbreak, Chrissy was preparing her own version of the story, and what she was about to reveal would make everything 10 times messier. While Jim Jones stayed low in Harlem, surrounded by close friends and his legal team, Chrissy Lampkin finally broke her silence. Not in a press release, not through her lawyer, but on her own terms. At 9:17 p.m., she posted a selfie on Instagram stories. No filter, hair pulled back, eyes puffy but defiant. Under it, just 3 words: "Ask him why." That post hit like a grenade. The internet exploded. Fans immediately started decoding, reposting, speculating. Ask him why. Why what? Why she took the money? Why she left? Why she did it in silence? Or was she hinting at something deeper? Something he had done that justified it all? Within an hour, a follow-up clip surfaced. Chrissy, sitting alone on a balcony in Miami, wine glass in hand, looking out at the city lights. Her voice was calm but cracked around the edges. People always think they know the whole story. They see the glam. They see the shows. But they don't see what it costs. She didn't name Jim Jones once, but she didn't have to. You build a man for years, help him rise, protect him, fight for him. And all he ever gives you is half-truths, broken promises, and silence. I took what I built. What I sacrificed for, what I earned. The internet lit up again. Hashtags started trending. Bind Team Chrissy, why Jim Jones exposed. One cheered it. Suddenly, the narrative wasn't so black and white. Some fans started flipping sides, calling her a silent survivor, a woman who gave her all and finally snapped. Others weren't so forgiving. "You don't rob the man you claim to love," one comment read. "You walk away, but you don't steal his soul on the way out." Meanwhile, Jim Jones was watching, and according to sources close to him, that video made him break. He was pacing back and forth, one friend revealed, just shaking his head like, nah, she really out here flipping it on me. He couldn't believe she was making it sound like he deserved it. But Jim wasn't going to stay silent either. Within 24 hours, he sat down for an impromptu interview on a private YouTube podcast. No label involvement, no network filters. Just Jim and the mic, and what he said had fans on edge. Y'all think she the only one who built something? I put her on. I gave her a name, a brand, a platform. Everything she got now, she got standing next to me. His voice trembled, not with anger, but hurt. She said, I gave her half-truths. Let's talk about it. She ain't want to sign no prenup. Said it made her feel like a side chick. So I let it go. I loved her too much to argue. Now look, she took the one thing I can't get back, trust. Then came the twist nobody expected. And since we airing it all out, Jim added, ask her about that account she opened in Atlanta. The one under her cousin's name. Ask her why she started hiding funds before we even started arguing. The crowd on the podcast went silent. You think this started a month ago? Nah, she'd been planning this. Screenshots soon leaked showing what appeared to be wire transfers from Jim's entertainment brand into an account belonging to Roberta Lampkin, Jim's cousin. No, Chrissy's. And the dates? They started 10 months ago, long before the Miami trip, long before the suspicious text messages, long before any of this was public. Fans started to feel like they were watching a live soap opera unfold. Was this a premeditated money grab? Or a long brewing rebellion from a woman who felt erased for too long? Either way, the damage was massive. More reports surfaced showing that Chrissy had not only purchased the Miami condo, but she had also invested nearly $1 million into a fashion startup quietly registered under her close friend's name. The company's name? Freed. One word. Bold, powerful, almost symbolic. And that wasn't even the final blow. A former producer from Love and Hip Hop came forward anonymously, claiming that Chrissy had pitched a show spin-off months ago. Not just any spin-off, a solo project. No Jim, just her. She called it The Rebirth, the producer claimed. Said she was done being someone's shadow, wanted to show what it looks like when a woman reclaims her power. The proposal had been shelved, until now. Suddenly, networks were calling back. Producers were scrambling. Everyone wanted to know if Chrissy would return to the screen, and whether this scandal would be part of the storyline. Jim, according to insiders, was livid. She turns my pain into a pilot episode, he reportedly told someone. She takes my loyalty and turns it into a storyline? Emotions ran high. The family was left divided. Mutual friends were picking sides. Insiders said Jim's mom was furious. I never trusted her, she allegedly told a friend. She'd been looking out for herself since day one. Chrissy, however, remained calm, calculated, even poised. She released one final post, a black screen with the words, "You only call it stealing when a woman decides she's had enough." And with that, she went silent. But her silence wasn't the end, because behind the scenes, lawyers were moving, contracts were being reviewed, assets were being frozen. And Jim Jones, he was done playing nice. She wants war, he told his inner circle. I'll give her war, and I'm bringing receipts. And the receipts he was about to drop would shake everything all over again. The third wave of this explosive saga hit harder than anyone expected. Because just when the world thought Chrissy's quiet exit and poetic one-liners had closed the chapter, Jim Jones came back with a vengeance. And this time, he wasn't talking. He was proving. In the early hours of the morning, Jim's lawyer filed a motion in court to freeze all assets tied to Chrissy Lampkin, including the Miami condo, the Atlanta accounts, and even the business entity known as Freed. But the real shock came from the 52-page document attached to the filing. It wasn't just legal jargon, it was a map of every transfer, every shell company, every quiet deposit that Chrissy had orchestrated behind the scenes. Line by line, date by date. And for fans who got their hands on the leaked version, it was jaw-dropping. One transfer stood out. $285,000 moved from a royalty pool connected to Jim's streaming catalog, money he never touched, redirected to an account under the name L. Lampkin Investments. No public registration, no business listing, just a name and a paper trail. Jim's lawyer included a statement. This is not a misunderstanding. This is a systematic extraction of funds over time, camouflaged through false invoices, fake consultants, and insider access. The word extraction trended within minutes. And fans, they weren't just shocked. They were stunned, because now it looked less like a desperate act of a woman reclaiming what she was owed. and more like a cold, calculated operation. She set up a whole blueprint to drain him, one fan posted. This ain't betrayal, this is straight up criminal mastermind energy. Meanwhile, Chrissy remained radio silent. No posts, no stories, no cryptic captions, but that didn't stop others from speaking for her. An anonymous source close to Chrissy told the Shade Room that she was in hiding, devastated, and never expected it to go this far. The source added, "She loved him. This wasn't supposed to be public." But it was public. And now, it was personal, because while the world debated who was wrong, who was right, and what owed really meant, Jim wasn't waiting for validation. He went on a second podcast, this time with his longtime friend and Harlem icon Ice, and dropped another bomb. "She wasn't alone," Jim said, looking dead into the camera. "There were people around me that I fed, that I trusted, that helped her set this up." He didn't name names, but the implication sent shockwaves through the industry. Imagine giving folks jobs, loyalty. Jim's attorney confirmed that a criminal referral had been filed with the New York District Attorney's Office. "We are exploring charges of wire fraud, identity theft, and grand larceny," he said. "This is not just a breakup. This is a breach of trust on a criminal level." Suddenly, what started as a headline became a full-blown legal crisis. Former Love and hip-hop castmates chimed in. Mama Jones, Jim's outspoken mother, released a statement on her personal live stream. "I told him," she said, "I told him a long time ago. That girl too slick. She play quiet, but she's always 5 steps ahead." Fans remembered her old feuds with Chrissy and now replayed them with a new lens. "Mama Jones been new," one comment read, "but Jim ain't listen. Now look." As the days passed, even brands started pulling back. One label announced they would be postponing a joint deal involving Chrissy's Freed fashion line until legal matters are resolved. Another dropped her from an upcoming digital campaign entirely. And behind it all, Jim was quietly rebranding himself, focusing on music, posting motivational quotes, and reminding the world that even legends can fall and still rise again. "They tried to break me," he posted, "but I've been built for storms. This ain't the end. It's the rebirth." Some said it was shade. Others called it healing. But then, out of nowhere, Chrissy reappeared. In a private interview leaked by a source from a documentary crew she'd quietly been filming with, Chrissy spoke calmly, face bare, eyes locked in. "Do I regret what I did? I regret not talking to him first. I regret not being honest. But I don't regret reclaiming what was mine." When asked about the fraud accusations, her response? He knew. He always knew. Maybe not the details, but he knew I was tired of waiting. Tired of being the silent investor in someone else's dream. Then she said something that stopped hearts cold. Sometimes love is loyalty, and sometimes love is revenge. The clip cut off there, but the impact? Nuclear.Jim, upon seeing it, reportedly responded with one sentence: "Then you better be ready for war," because now the courts were involved, the lawyers were circling, and the empire they built together was not only divided, it was burning, and the world was watching every flame. With every passing day, the fallout grew deeper and messier. What had started as whispers of betrayal had now snowballed into a full-scale media firestorm. From Harlem to Hollywood, everyone had a take on the Chrissy and Jim saga. And while the blogs refreshed every hour with new leaks and clips, behind the headlines, 2 lives were unraveling in real time. Jim Jones had gone quiet again. After his podcast drop and the asset freeze filing, he pulled back. Insiders said he was preparing for something much bigger, a full lawsuit seeking damages, restitution, and the return of every dime traced back to Chrissy's accounts. But emotionally, those close to him said he wasn't focused on the money anymore. "It's the betrayal," one friend shared. "He could make that $7 million back in a year. What he can't get back is the trust, the belief that she was really riding for him like she said she was." Jim was spotted attending a closed-door meeting with high-profile attorneys, including a rep known for handling high-stakes celebrity embezzlement cases. Rumors spread quickly that charges could be filed within the next 2 weeks, and that investigators were now combing through old contracts, appearance fees, and digital royalties going back nearly a decade. Meanwhile, Chrissy's team was scrambling to control the damage. Sources confirmed that her luxury Miami condo had been seized temporarily pending investigation, and at least 2 of her linked accounts were frozen. But that wasn't the biggest headline. The biggest shock came when it was revealed that Chrissy had been in talks with a streaming platform to release a tell-all documentary, months before the scandal ever broke. The working title? Behind Every King, the synopsis? An untold story of sacrifice, silence, and what it costs to build an empire when the world only gives credit to one name. Fans were floored. This wasn't just reaction. This looked planned. She had this cooking while she was taking the money. One tweet read, "Nah, this is next-level manipulation." The doc reportedly contained hours of raw footage, personal videos, audio recordings, diary entries, and never-before-seen love and hip-hop behind-the-scenes clips showing what Chrissy claims was the real dynamic between her and Jim. One clip allegedly showed a heated argument between the two from years ago, where Jim shouts, "I told you you'd get yours, just wait." And Chrissy replies, "I've been waiting 10 years. I'm done waiting." Whether or not the footage was edited or manipulated remained unclear, but the point was made. Chrissy had been documenting her dissatisfaction for a long time, and now she was flipping it into content. A rep from the streaming platform declined to comment, but insiders claimed the doc was already in post-production, with a planned teaser trailer scheduled to drop the following month, unless the lawsuit stopped it. And that's exactly what Jim planned to do. His legal team sent an emergency cease and desist order demanding that the documentary be shelved immediately, calling it a weaponized piece of media designed to distort facts and sway public opinion before the truth has its day in court. Chrissy's response? A photo of herself smiling, on a balcony with the caption, "I said what I said. The truth deserves airtime too." The comments were a war zone, thousands of fans divided, fighting in real time. Some defending Chrissy's right to tell her side, others calling her a master manipulator who planned a heist and used the camera as cover. And through it all, the public kept asking the same question. Was this love gone wrong, or was it revenge perfectly executed? The tension reached a new level when an alleged voice note leaked. A private conversation between Chrissy and a close friend, recorded weeks before the financial scandal erupted. In the clip, Chrissy is heard saying, "He'll never see it coming. And when he does, I'll be gone, sipping champagne in my own name on my own damn balcony." Fans went into meltdown. The comments were ruthless. Even Chrissy's most loyal defenders started to fall silent. Jim posted only one thing to his Instagram stories that night: a black screen with white text. "This ain't heartbreak. This is betrayal." The final blow came days later when Jim filed an official criminal complaint in New York for financial fraud and grand larceny, naming Chrissy Lampkin directly. It was no longer just a scandal. It was now a case, and it would be tried in court, not on television. The response from Chrissy's team was swift but vague. "We are reviewing all legal matters. Our focus remains on truth, healing, and protecting Chrissy's voice." But the damage was done. Endorsement deals were pulled, followers dropped, brands started backing away. Even longtime friends in the industry were going ghost. And there were no winners left. Only scars, stories, and millions of eyes watching it all unfold, one shattered trust at a time. As the legal proceedings drew closer, the tension between Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin reached a boiling point, not just in court, but in public, in the media, and in every corner of hip-hop culture that had once celebrated their love story. What had started as an admired couple who stood the test of time had now become a fractured empire crumbling in full view. The final week before their court hearing was filled with chaos, secrets, and one final twist that no one, not even their inner circles, saw coming. It started with a voicemail leak. But this one wasn't from Chrissy, and it wasn't from Jim. It came from a third party, an ex-employee of Vamp Life Records, Jim's brand. The voicemail was sent anonymously to several blogs, and within minutes, it was everywhere. In the message, the voice says, "Yo, you know she wasn't alone in this, right? You know Jim had someone in his circle moving things for her, one of the guys he trusted the most." The voice went on to name someone only referred to as B, a longtime confidant who'd been with Jim since the early mixtape days. He was the one forwarding contracts, slipping her the account info. Jim never checked his back end. He let people handle it, and she used that. The internet went crazy. Now there was a new theory, that Chrissy didn't act alone, that someone inside Jim's camp had been feeding her information, maybe even for years. Betrayal wasn't just coming from her. It had roots deeper than anyone expected. And Jim? He heard it. The next morning, he posted a cryptic message. Even snakes wear chains when you don't know what they are. No names, no confirmations. But the message was loud and clear. Someone close had turned. And that revelation crushed him more than anything Chrissy had done. Money was one thing. Deception from someone you built your career with? That was unforgivable. Meanwhile, Chrissy's legal team fired back. They filed a counterclaim accusing Jim of financial mismanagement, emotional distress, and the suppression of shared earnings. In the documents, her lawyer claimed Chrissy was never officially placed on paper despite playing a foundational role in his business and brand. In other words, she was suing him back, not for revenge, but for her share of what she helped build. The battle had officially gone both ways. The counterclaim laid out years of alleged mistreatment, from being cut out of major business deals to promises made and never honored. It painted a picture of a woman who supported a man through multiple reinventions, only to be discarded when she asked for ownership. But Jim's side wasn't backing down. His attorney responded with one brutal sentence in the press. "We don't pay thieves, we prosecute them." The blogs had a field day. Interviews resurfaced, one from years ago where Chrissy said, "You don't know what it's like to give your best years to someone and still have nothing with your name on it." Another from Jim, laughing in an old Breakfast Club interview where he was asked about a prenup and said, "I love her too much to do her like that." Fans began seeing those moments in a new light. Was it love, or was it control masked as romance? As the court date approached, news vans lined up outside the courthouse. Producers from reality networks began circling, pitching specials, reunion episodes, full docuseries. Everyone wanted to capitalize on the crash, but neither Jim nor Chrissy agreed to cameras inside. They didn't want more performance, they wanted war. On the morning of the hearing, Jim arrived first. Sharp suit, sunglasses, tight lips. His mother walked behind him, arms crossed, eyes cold. No words, just presence. An hour later, Chrissy stepped out of a black SUV. Dressed in all beige, face unreadable, alone except for her attorney. Reporters shouted. Neither of them answered. Inside the courtroom, no cameras were allowed, but reports quickly leaked from those who sat in on the hearing. The judge was stern. The energy was heavy. Both legal teams presented their claims. Financial documents, text messages, timelines. The courtroom reportedly gasped when screenshots were entered into evidence showing Chrissy requesting account access under a fake name. But then came the most painful part, the character assessments. Each team was allowed to present personal testimonies. Chrissy's side read letters from former castmates and business partners, saying she was loyal, underappreciated, the glue behind the scenes. Jim's side brought in his longtime manager, who called Chrissy strategic, ungrateful, and a liability who became too comfortable with power she never earned. The judge didn't react, but the jurors did. Some whispered, some shook their heads, and at one point, Jim reportedly turned to Chrissy and said under his breath, "You really did this to us?" She didn't look at him. After 6 hours of arguments, the court announced that further proceedings would continue in private sessions due to the sensitive nature of the financial records and pending investigations. But by then, the world had heard enough. This wasn't just a scandal, it was the slow death of a legendary relationship. One built on trust, crushed by betrayal, and now immortalized by courtroom transcripts and leaked voicemails. Outside the courtroom, a reporter asked, "Jim, any last words?" He replied, "Yeah, I don't want her back. I want what's mine." Chrissy didn't speak. She just got into the SUV, closed the door, and disappeared into the chaos she helped create. And just like that, the love story of Chrissy and Jim, once admired, once envied, ended not with closure, but with court. Orders, countersuits, and a legacy turned into ash. And just like that, the fairy tale that once defined love and hip-hop's golden couple has shattered into pieces too sharp to pick up. Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones were supposed to be different, stronger, untouchable. They had survived cheating rumors, family drama, the reality TV machine, but they couldn't survive each other. What started as loyalty turned into leverage. What began with sacrifice ended with subpoenas. And now, fans are left asking, was any of it ever real? Jim says he was betrayed, blindsided, and financially drained by the woman he trusted most. Chrissy says she reclaimed what she helped build, and that she was tired of waiting for promises that never came. Both are standing their ground. Both are armed with receipts, and both have turned love into war. The lawsuits are real. The countersuits are aggressive, and the court battle is far from over. But one thing is crystal clear. There's no going back. Not from this. Not from $7 million, frozen accounts, leaked voice notes, and hidden real estate deals. This isn't just a breakup. This is a legacy on fire. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Was Chrissy Lampkin reclaiming what was hers? Or was she orchestrating the ultimate betrayal? Was Jim Jones really the victim, or just the first one to speak? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We need to hear your side. And if you've been following this saga from the start, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications. Because this courtroom drama is only just beginning. Trust us. The next episode is going to break the internet. This is more than love and hip-hop. This is love, war, and $7 million gone in the blink of an eye. Stay locked in. Stay locked in.